Hello and welcome initiative. All the proceeds from the monetization of this podcast will go to charitable causes. It's for the person that wants it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Underdogs, Bootstrappers, and Game Changers. I'm so fortunate today, and so are you, to have my friend Zoe with me today. How you doing, Zoe?
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Tyler has been telling me all about everything, really, just your entire journey, the podcast, and so I'm really honored to be here because, I just started telling my story more openly and realizing how important it is to do that. So I'm excited to share it and share some things that maybe can help others because I wish that I had more of that when I was going through it. So I'm happy to be here.
No, yeah, it's like Underdogs, it can be hard sometimes too. It's like, because I need to vet people to have them on the show because I'm very protective of you. I can't accidentally have a course seller that sells something that's horrible for you or something like that, right? And so I take some time vetting people. And I've known Zoe for a while, and I think amazing things about her. I went through a process where I wasn't telling my story to the world either, and I've begun doing it, and my life has improved exponentially because of it. And it's not uncommon for somebody to drop in my DMs and say, something you said last week saved my life.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and
amazing.
So that's when we realize we have to do these things.
Yeah.
And one thing recently, you made a post about giving plasma away.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to, if you can, weigh in on that story. You made a post about giving plasma. Times were hard.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was kicked out of my house. I grew up in the south side of Chicago, and my parents also turned off my phone. And so I was just kind of stuck because there was, I couldn't get to the next step without simply a phone. You know, luckily, I had a friend who I could stay with. So I wasn't homeless by any means as far as actually being without a home. But a phone and communication in this world is really important.
Yeah.
And so I just collected my resources and tried to figure out, I was always doing things trying to babysit or rake leaves or shovel snow, all of those things. But I found out you could get $40 for donating plasma.
Yeah.
And so I did that so that I could so that I could turn my phone back on. And then I could apply to jobs because I'd have somewhere that they could call me back. So, I did that until you could only go every 2 days because you give your blood, and then they take all the plasma out and then put the blood back in, and then your plasma regenerates, and then you could do it again. So that's what I did to pay my phone bill.
Yeah, I went through that too. It's like giving away plasma to eat, right?
Yeah.
And Underdogs, we're going to get to Zoe's success story too. It's just I want to show you another path, you know, and then on another person that's been the underdog, and also you wait until you hear what she's up to. But sometimes it starts with giving blood for a meal, right? You know, and then one thing that's funny is when I used to go in there, I'd look at the people that were giving away the blood. And I remember this one lady even asked, she was in there basically because she thought they give you an STD test before that. So she was only there for the STD test. She was pretty rough looking. And I was thinking to myself, as I'm looking around at the other people that are in there, and I'm sure you saw this too, it's my blood's going to be superhuman, you know, compared to the people that are in here.
Yeah. It's definitely very scary. I didn't want to be there, obviously.
Yeah. It's sketchy, folks.
It's sketchy, and being a woman and there's a lot of people. Well, the good thing is they do drug tests and STD so at least everyone's kind of clean, you know? Or if it's their second time.
If you saw them, you wouldn't want this blood though.
Right. Yeah. And
plasma.
Everyone needs the plasma, or people need the plasma. But sometimes I think too, I look around in today's world where the underdogs today, there is so much other opportunities that you don't have to go do that.
Totally.
Because I'm I wish there was I would have went on, or if I could figure out how to Uber Eats or all of those things, or walk a dog, all the websites you can go on to dog walk and stuff. But plasma, it was the thing to do. I don't know. It was just like there wasn't as many like opportunities that you could just like go on a website and, you know.
I agree 100%. We were in really rough times, my brothers and I remember my brother had made this in wood shop. He made a bedside table.
Yeah.
And we sold it for like $60, you know, and like, and that was like an amazing amount of money. Or like we had a period of time and we actually went homeless for a little while. Wow. And we're living in the desert here in Phoenix. And finally, like, we were able to move into a place and we had no money for food. Yeah. My little brother happened to have this Millennium Falcon Lego set. And we sold that online. And I think it got us like $300. That thing fed us for like weeks. Yeah. Now my brothers have amazing houses in Scottsdale. One's a PhD, very successful. And so now we get to joke around about these things. You know, we bought actually the Millennium Falcon Lego set for my brother for Christmas, like, again, 2 Christmases ago or something like that.
Well, I did that too. I basically sold everything that anyone would buy until I could just, you know, so you could get ahead. Yeah. And I was just talking to someone about this, that like, it almost feels like once you get going, like those are the hardest parts, but like once you get going and you get a little bit of like consistent income, it's so much easier. Like I almost feel like it's unfair that like once you have a little bit of money, it's so much easier to make more money. But like you can't really do that unless you have the work ethic. And so going through all those hard steps and then like now being able to put it back into myself and into the world, it's sometimes I'm like, wow, like 18-year-old Zoe would look at me and be like, why does she get free PR boxes? She doesn't need it. Yeah. Like, I could have used those PR boxes to eat, kidding. You know?
You know, the money doesn't buy happiness. And that's the thing I try to get across through my channels a lot, you know, but it does buy not struggle. And that first step of not struggling, it's like, okay, you know, it's like a lot of people that are struggling, then they can't pay their insurance for their car. And the next thing you know, you get pulled over. And then the next thing you know, your driver's license is taken. It's such a horrible system. And people don't realize that. They're like, well, how do you, you know, it's like eking out of that system somehow is like the first step. Yeah. Like getting enough money to get that tool. And I just want to actually add this here. The Stuart Butterfield, who founded Slack, he's a billionaire. Yeah. And he like weighed in on like the effects of being a billionaire on his life. Yeah. And he like basically said just what I said. It's like money at first buys you you don't have to worry about bills anymore. Yeah. That is like such an amazing step.
Yeah. Or the stress of like, I remember even I was in a much better spot, but like, someone broke my, like, 5-6 years after that, like someone broke my car window. Yeah. And it's like, and they stole my backpack with my my homework in it. Yeah. And I'm like, like, it's just like, you know, you have enough money for your bills and you're so proud of yourself. But then like something like that comes up and you're like, great, now I'm like set behind again. Yep. And it's like, money doesn't buy happiness, but like, now, if something happens like that, I'm like, damn, that sucks. But like, we'll just deal with it.
You hire a repair person to come over and fix it on site because you don't have the time.
Yeah, but that stuff used to crush me. Oh, yeah. Like, I would be just, you know, and I would complain about it too. Yeah. And like, because it is like very valid to complain about things that suck. Yeah. Like,
totally. I mean, Stuart Butterfield talks about the value of not struggling. And then past that, folks, and this is a good delineation of the importance of money. It's like, he said the next impactful thing in his billionaire life was the fact that he went to a restaurant and didn't have to worry about what anything costs anymore, which is fun. I don't know if you grew up going to restaurants. We never could go to them as a kid.
My parents, I almost said my address of my home because my dad would always be like, it's this address, Mozart restaurant, you know, like, so they'd be like, we're eating at home. It's the restaurant at home, you know? Yeah. Because we'd always want even just like McDonald's, and it's like, nope, we're eating at home.
Yeah, no, same with us, you know? And so now I thoroughly enjoy every time I get to go out to, you know? And that's the thing, underdogs too. It's like, you'd be like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. It's like, when you turn the key on your brand new car, you enjoy it exponentially more than other people. When your windshield breaks, you know, and you have the money to pay it, you enjoy it exponentially more than other people. When you can buy your own meal and you can have the steak and you can have the lobster at the same time, it's like you're going to enjoy it exponentially more. And the third item he said is like taking vacations and not worry about the cost. That was the impact of $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, and I would add to that not being able to take care of yourself is really great, but then being able to take care of others is even better. Like being able to like buy someone else that meal. Like, I think you saw my post on Instagram where it was, I wrote like a letter to myself. It's that trend.
Yeah.
And it was just like talking about like, I wouldn't go to things because I don't want to show up and not get coffee because it's embarrassing. Like, I can't afford it. And I don't want anyone else to pay for me. Like, I don't want anyone to like feel bad or whatever. And so in the post I wrote like, don't worry, I'll buy yours too.
Yeah.
And like, being able to like help other people through that and supply jobs. I've helped some of my like just really hardworking friends who deserve to make a lot of money, given them opportunities to get jobs. And like, that is even way better than even just being able to like support yourself, you know?
That's why we need more underdogs making it to success. If you watch my show, you know exactly that's what the premise is. That's why I spend my time on this podcast that's for charity, you know, because I believe the same way. It's like success has an obligation, and kind-hearted people brought to success change things that they, you know, value.
Yeah.
You and I felt struggle. So we would like to make struggle easier on other people, right? And that's why we have to get to our success. What was your like journey from like giving plasma to now? Like, I know that you're doing amazing and you have your own company, you know, and like I've seen the clients that you're working with and things like that. Walk me through a little bit of that so the audience can kind of tell your path. Yeah,
it was honestly like just a little step forward every single like moment I could get one. And also it was, I see a lot of people struggle who won't stoop down, you know, and I was willing to like stoop below, you know, which is like such an interesting concept. But like I got, and the mindset was like a huge part of it. Totally. So during the plasma donating phase, I was really, really negative. I remember being like, why would anyone hire me? I don't have my best experience I have was caddying and carrying golf clubs. Like, that doesn't translate to anything. And like I was just, my thought process was so negative. Yeah. And I don't know how I thought about this or thought of it, or I think I actually read, like, it's so cliche, but I think I read The Secret, the book, okay. Where it's like your thoughts are everything. Yeah. And so I started writing down my thoughts and like seeing tangibly how negative they were. And so I would actually like write down like, oh, I can't, like, why would anyone hire me? And I would scratch it out and I would write like, I am so capable of learning things. I'm passionate. I'm a pleasure to be around. Anyone would like love to just like, I will learn, I will listen, I will work hard. And I just like did that. And I did it for months and months, and I eventually trained my brain and like, I'll come back to this too when I'm in like a negative, like I see myself going into negative thought patterns. Yeah. And I swear that like that exercise got me to the next step of simply just going to interviews and being more like confident. Yeah. And so I ended up getting a job at Planet Fitness and Culver's, the fast food place. All right. At the same time. My schedule, I was so tired. My schedule was horrible. It was like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I would take the bus to Planet Fitness, 6 a.m., 2 p.m., work, you know, take the bus straight to Culver's down like on the other side of town, and work till 1 a.m. when we close the kitchen, and then just do it again. And like every once in a while I would only have one of the jobs, but I ended up, I was always wanting to be like healthy and fit and stuff, but I thought I would love working at Planet Fitness, but I actually enjoyed working at Culver's even more, which is a fast food place. And it is one of those things where you don't want to stoop below your level or whatever, but it was so fun and I learned so much. And I actually worked in the kitchen, and my job was literally to dress the buns, and like I would, you know, do work in the kitchen, and I thought it was so fun to like be efficient, and like you have like all these people waiting, and they're waiting on you, and like they're happy eating your food, and you're working as a team because I'm making the buns, he's making the burger, he's over there on the grill, like, and it's like you really have to work, and then it's busy, and so you have to cut all the ingredients and make sure you're prepared for the next busy time. And like I didn't know I would learn anything from working fast food, you know?
Gosh, there's like 47 things that I could unpack there that would be so beneficial to my audience. But it's funny, anytime I run across an underdog, I was a 2-job always person too. You know, it's like, and anytime I ran across an underdog, that's what we did to dig out of the hole. You know, I make training videos around this stuff too. It's like my first training video says, you're going to hate this task. Go out and get 2 jobs. Yeah. I mean, because look what it taught you above everything else, you know? Yeah.
And you don't, like, even if you don't think you're going to like it, and honestly, some of the people, I think some of the underdogs are actually the ones who are willing to do it. Yeah. But the ones that are like just right above the underdogs who have kind of like a plan B, you know, where they can like stay at home until they find something they want. They're not as willing to like do that.
You're probably dead right.
And those are some of the people I see struggle even maybe more than some of the underdogs.
You're right.
Like
no choice sense. Is good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I never had like, I didn't have a choice, you know? So it was like, I could just stay in that like negative mindset and just stay where I wanted or stay where I was, or like just accept something to get you ahead, you know?
Yes, and that, like, I'm constantly telling underdogs there actually is huge advantages to it, and I get a lot of hate for it because I actually think underdogs are more prepared, and the ability to overcome adversity is proven to be the #1 success trait. It's like the 2 jobs, like I'm already seeing, as you're talking about loving the like expiration of the bun and stuff like that, I'm positive you brought that into your business.
Everything, yeah.
You know, it's like, we don't know. It's like my worst job, I was like, I took what I thought was below, you know, because I had some success early in life with the sales job and stuff. And so then I had to backpedal because we were homeless. You know, I just had to take what I could get. I ended up working at this country club, which I absolutely hated. I hated it with a passion. Like, they treated me so poorly.
That's so crazy. We have the same thing because my first job was a caddy when I was 13, and I would carry golf clubs. But
did you like it?
Actually, you know what I hated about it? I was so uncomfortable around wealthy people.
Really?
But it taught me a lot. Like, I just sat there and I observed, and I was terrified though. I was like, please, nobody ask me where I'm from. Please, like, I don't know how to communicate with these people because I literally don't know what these like the words are. I don't understand. It's a different language. Yeah. And it was so uncomfortable.
Gosh, it's so like the similarities are so like, but you know, I remember like somebody asked me what my dad did, you know, because when you're young, they always ask what your parents did. And so my dad was a professional freestyle skier, but he was also in jail for dealing drugs. Wow. Yeah. And at that moment, you know, and so they asked me what my dad did. And I'm like, oh, he was a professional freestyle skier. And I didn't want to go into the second part, obviously. And so then they're like, what's his name? And then they Google him right there. Yeah. And then the only thing that comes up is this FBI thing, you know, is like... And like, to your point, it's like you're always afraid about talking about where you're from, you know, but what it taught me and what I tell underdogs all the time, it taught me the normalcy of rich people. Yeah. Seeing it possible, I call it, because they were no smarter. They weren't harder working, you know.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's actually the thing that I see, and I actually see this in business a lot because maybe we'll get to like what I do today, but like what got rid of my imposter syndrome in business was seeing all these founders just like making dumb mistakes. Yeah. And I'm like, this is actually so inspiring because like if I know how to fix this and they're coming to me and like they're so successful, like multimillionaires, but they're like a shit show behind the scenes. Like, it's so motivating.
Nobody's
like,
better than you,
if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, nobody's better than you. And that, like, that's why another thing in that video that I'm talking about, I said, go get a job around rich people. Because I do have a little chip on my shoulder.
That's such a good point,
about it too, because they didn't treat me fair. You know, it's like I was a valet in the morning starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then at 1 o'clock, I would transition over to bartending until 10 o'clock at night. And I was going to school full time too. Yeah. And it's like, they didn't treat me right. But like and like, this is something I implore you to think about, is like my revenge in that moment. And some people will just like, oh, I'm going to get that guy's car as slow as possible. You know, it's like, screw him. I did the opposite. I was like, sir, you've never seen somebody get your car so fast. I sprinted a huge parking lot at 140 degrees here.
Killed him with kindness.
I absolutely did. And that was my revenge because I brought that work ethic into my businesses, right? Yeah. And then that, like, it was one of the biggest gifts, even though I hated it so much, you know, in so many ways. And it's so fun to hear, like, you bolster every single thing that I, like, talk to underdogs about.
Yeah, and then there's a couple different things about surrounding yourself with, like, wealthy people. Yeah. It's that of, like, you kind of just, like, get exposed to it.
Desensitized.
But then also, you desensitize to it. But then you also, once you get to like, not when I was 13 in a caddy, like until 13 through 16 years old, like I maybe I wasn't going to meet anyone like to give me an opportunity, but who knows? But like now, and in these last, years, like 8 years to 10 years, surrounding yourself with wealthy people gives you opportunity. Like it gives you it like if you're a pleasant person and you ask them questions and like they're willing to talk, like a lot of them, especially if they started as underdogs, they're willing to help too. Yeah. And so you surround yourself with them, and you always hear people say it's like surround yourself with who you want to be. Yeah. And you also get to pick what you like and what you don't like. About like how they treat people. I agree 100%. It like the parallels are astounding between you and I on that. So get me to the plasma. After giving plasma, let's go into like how did working plasma to working in a hamburger stand parlay into like what was next? Yeah, so then I was really into fitness. I ended up like kind of like running away from my hometown and moving to North Carolina, which was actually good because the cost of living was much lower. Yeah. And then I ended up though like taking another little step back, and I got a job at a frozen yogurt shop, and it was minimum wage in North Carolina, $7.25. And I ended up moving in with my now ex, but that was like, it's such an interesting thing too, because we definitely moved in together way too quick, but it was like, it did help. Like with us, our rent was only $800 a month. So we just split like, and that was like my entire paycheck. Yeah. But like, at least we like had our own place. Like I remember, getting into this house or like being able to get this house and, being like, wow, I was so proud of myself, obviously, like from going, and but I would have like other people come over who were kind of acquaintances, and they'd be like, oh, like it's kind of like outdated and like, oh, a chain link fence. Ew. And I'm like, I never even noticed there was a fence. I'm like, it's cool. I have a fenced yard. And it's so interesting to like, just the parallels of like different people's perspectives and stuff. No kidding. But, so yeah, I ended up working at a frozen yogurt shop. And then because I was able to like, I was able to have a little bit more time. I didn't have 2 jobs anymore. Yeah. So I went back to school. Okay. And this was another thing that was really challenging that I'm sure underdogs face is I didn't have credit, and I didn't have anyone who would co-sign for me to get a loan for school. Yeah. And so I just had to save up money to pay for school out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And so I would save up, and I went to the community college, and I really did think that I had to go to college. Like I didn't really understand like, well, what else could I do? And so I was just, working and then paying for a class here and paying for as much as I could. And, but still working. Mm-hmm. Like working, I think was the best part of like working, but not staying, like being so happy to have a job, but not staying content with my job. Yeah. Of like knowing this is a stepping stone, but like also, which I think underdogs might struggle with. If you're in a job and you're like, negative about it and you're like just there to collect a paycheck and you're kind of just like you're going through the motions, and maybe you're not even doing a good job because you don't care about it. Yeah. That's also the worst thing you can do. Oh, agreed. So like if you're gonna stoop down and like accept what you can get, just do the best that you can, because you'll be like way happier. And like the worst thing you can do is have a negative mindset, and like you never know what the like people around you are like. If you're a bad worker and you're sitting next to someone who's going to own their own business the next day, then they're never gonna give you an opportunity. No, you never know who's watching. I tell this story all the time. I like
Cold Stone a lot.
Yeah.
And so I go in one day to Cold Stone and this kid's in there and he's like, you could be that attitude. It's like, I'm just here to scoop ice cream or whatever. Instead, he's got the music up loud. He's kind of rocking out. He takes your order or whatever. Yeah. He throws the ice cream up into the air and he catches it behind his back. And instead of looking at it as his job that he was just going to humdrum through, he did it fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and this was at a point I had just sold my last company. I wasn't ready to jump back in. I was like thinking to myself, I would hire that kid. I would invest in that kid.
Yep. I'm going through that process right now because I'm hiring in Arizona, but like I'm having a hard time finding like really good people. And I think good people are just kind of hard to like come by in general. But like I am actually telling myself I need to go out and instead of going through the drive-through, I need to go into the retail stores and talk to people because I'm like the next person that I see is doing a good job. I'm going to ask them for their information and offer them an interview. Like that's my tactic to find people.
And even if it wasn't that, you know, it's like people are like, I'm going to be this crappy worker. And then the second I go into my own business, I'm going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. You can't practice being bad and then being good. Yeah. And not only that, but if you're a crappy worker in somebody else's business, what's to say you deserve a good worker someday?
You can't. And it's habits. People don't understand that like your habits really do shape you no matter what you're doing. So exactly what you said. If you're like not a great worker here, it's likely that you're not a great worker when you're doing what you actually think you want to do.
Underdogs are the best workers always. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it actually is a curse at times because then what happens is like they would actually be the best people to open businesses, but they you know, are such a good employee, you know, that they stay, you know, because they don't know any other way.
Also, we like to, fortunately, we like to get the praise from others because we might not have gotten it when we were younger.
You're absolutely right.
And so it feels really good to like make others proud.
Yeah.
And so sometimes like I struggle with that today of like, I struggle when I like with my own business and I'm my own boss because there's no one to tell me like, wow, you're doing a great job.
It's thankless.
I don't have anyone to impress besides myself really. Yeah. And like, that's kind of hard for me. Like just being vulnerable. Like it's nice to like do a good job for someone else.
Yeah.
And like, I could see, and I think, I mean, I'm still young, but like, I think that if I didn't have that aspect of like, a lot of times I've tried to start something on my own, but like, when I fail myself, it's like, oh, whatever, I'll just go back to work. But like if I fail someone else, I just won't fail someone else. So it's like a flaw that I definitely like have, but I've recognized. And how I've overcome it is I now have an executive assistant and she's amazing. She's Jackie. You talked to Jackie. Uh-huh. She's my boss. She is my boss and like she is my accountability and like I tell her like you are my boss, like I want to make you proud and I don't want to disappoint you or make your life harder. So she's my boss and like that's how I get through like that like underdog kind of flaw of like wanting to like make someone else proud to get the praise.
It's tough. You know, when I first started my first companies, there was a lot of hate involved because people didn't treat me fair. I wasn't given very many opportunities, you know, told I was stupid in my youth, that sort of stuff. And that like prove them wrong, even though they weren't watching.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, actually, the guy that gave me the most hell in my life was the assistant principal. And it was because I was the poor kid. I smelled like cigarettes because my parents smoked. I still have never had a cigarette in my life. You know, and it's like, but anything goes wrong. Like I was the one grabbed. I'm not a thief. Anything's stolen. Grab Tyler, you know, it's like, and it's crazy. I don't wish this on him, on the man, you know, it's like, but he was like a lot of times the face I saw anytime I thought about quitting. And it was crazy. The day I signed the dotted line on selling my first company, which I guess that would maybe was the moment I became success. I don't know. That man passed away.
Wow.
The very same day. So I think, you know, and I don't wish that on him by any means.
That's
I don't wish his death, but it is crazy that the moment I didn't need it anymore, it wasn't there anymore, right? And so it's like life will get you what you need if you'll pay attention to it.
And the other thing I noticed too is like life is really scary, especially when you don't have money. And somehow it like, as long as you just keep going, it like takes care of you.
It does.
Like I've had really like odd things happen to me where I've, you know, I also like, so I got ahead, but then I got behind again. And I just think that's like life. I ended up after the whole frozen yogurt shop, I ended up working myself up into, got a job at GNC,
Cool.
and then it was like really interesting, and I worked myself up into management. But then I went through a breakup, and I wasn't making that great money, but to me it was better to get out of that relationship than to have like security and money. And I don't know, like I just decided that life will figure itself out. I didn't know how, but I just put myself into a lot of debt to get out of the relationship.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, and then I didn't know, like sometimes like it'll get harder before a lot of times it gets harder before it gets better. But like I put myself
life will give you what you need, even the hard stuff.
Yeah. I put myself into a bunch of debt to just like live on my own. And then I ended up getting a flare up of psoriasis, which was like, I'd never had psoriasis before. And I had this entire, my whole body was head to toe rash and painful. And just, so then I had to put myself into debt for like medical bills because I was just in pain. And like the UV treatment for it was like the only thing that would help, but it was $80 a session. And I kind of got confused because when you're like in pain, you do whatever, and I thought that it was $80 before insurance, but it was after, and it was coming 3 times a week. And then before I knew it, they're like, okay, your bill is due. And I'm like, what is, I thought that like, I was just all confused. And so I ended up being $5,000 in debt before I knew it. But like, and I'm feeling so lost and not being like, not understanding, like, even like, do I put my, like, I don't even know where to put my paycheck. Like, obviously I know I need to like pay my rent, like, and feed myself, but with the extra money, like, do I put it on the credit card or do I put it into savings?
Yeah.
Or do I like, and I remember just being so discouraged because like the credit card bill was going faster than I could pay it off. And it's just like interesting things just kept happening though, where it would be like an opportunity to make $1,000 here with like a influencer deal, or like I went to the dentist and they were like, oh, actually you overpaid before like 2 years ago, and so we owe you $800.
Awesome.
And like I'm like, wow, it's just like crazy. Sometimes like as long as you just keep going and you just like tell yourself like life will figure itself out, if you just keep being a good person and just like working hard, it'll figure itself out. And it does. Like it really does.
I totally believe in that. And sometimes you have to reframe the hard stuff you're going through. It's like I'm not even the only person that says this. I have bad luck. Like everything bad that will happen a lot of times happens to me. I've almost died overseas several times. Stuff's happened to me in business that you'd never even heard of, enough to the point where everybody told me to write a book. And I did, on this bad luck. And so I always looked at myself, like at first I described it as Mr. Magoo. Do you know Mr. Magoo?
No, I think
he's a little bit old for you, but he would go like, he'd be walking around and he can't see very well. He walks off a building, which is bad luck, right? But a board would swing in just in time and save his life. And so Mr. Magoo is like this, and that's my life for the most part, is like something horrible would happen, the beam swings in the way just before catastrophe. Yeah. And I was looking at my life that way, but I can't control that, right? And that was not a good mindset for me overall. And then I decided one day, started looking at the story of Rocky. And Rocky was like, all this stuff kept going at him, and there's a part that he says basically, it's like, life's going to throw punches. And it's like, you got to keep walking forward. And it's like, no, I'm not Mr. Magoo. I'm Rocky, because life throws stuff at me and I keep walking forward and I can control that. Yeah. So you have to control your own narrative. Well,
and the other thing, like, again, for the underdogs, I remember my, like, just feeling, like sometimes it's actually kind of hard for me to even like remember how I felt, because I'm so far from that now that like I feel so much better, like mentally and like health wise and everything, that like I can't believe when I like think about it, I'm like, I can't believe I got out of it. Yeah. Because when you're in it, it feels just like treacherous and like that it'll never get better. And like it just is a hard place to be, right? Like, but now I'm like so much farther ahead, and I forget that I even felt like that ever. Like it's like It's amazing.
You could be so close. The guy, have you ever seen the show Breaking Bad? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you know the guy that plays Gus, the bad guy? He's the, I think he's Hispanic or something. He plays the drug lord.
Yes.
So he actually, he was contemplating his own death for the insurance money to leave something behind for his family. Literally, like within, I think, days of pulling it off.
Yeah.
And he cast that part, which now I've seen him in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So how many people out there are just about to give up? I mean, Matt Rife, he toured for 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then one TikTok video launched him to stardom. Mr. Beast put out like 550 videos before he hit. You know, it's like everybody is this, if they only knew they were this close, you know, but you only know if you keep going.
And that's the other thing when we were talking about like surrounding yourself with people, like I meet so many people every day or I do so many different things, and just like, you never know like what's going to happen and like what that one thing is going to, that one person that you meet or the one like piece of content that you put out.
That changes your life.
Yeah.
We're in such a change your life spectrum right now. It could be one YouTube video. It could be one business. It could be one conversation. These things, if you're open to it, will completely change your life.
Yeah. And so after, you know, I'm in my debt, and I actually it wasn't that long ago that I paid off my debt. It was just like, I finally got out of it. Like I've kind of just started to like ignore it because I'm like, oh God, like I actually compared it to people who have student loans, because I thankfully never had student loans because I would just pay out of pocket, and I actually never ended up finishing. I just kept working and then being like, wow, now I'm like on track to make more money than I would if I finished school. So I just took a break. And that's the other thing is, school never goes away. You can go to school at whatever age you are. Like there's no age limit on school. So like if you don't want to go to school and you don't like, that's not the only option. Like it really isn't.
Advice, because we change, right? And like if you would have put 18-year-old me into school, like what he studied compared to, I think I actually started around 23 and I ended up going into biochemistry. That would have never been the 18-year-old me track, right? And you know, it's like, so you do evolve, you know, and like that's why you're better off getting involved a little bit too. You know, or like I volunteered at the animal shelter for a couple of years. I originally was on a track to be a vet. I even submitted my documentation to apply for school. And then I realized from being there for years, it's like, I want to make an impact. I think I can do something better, right?
Yeah.
Not better. More, I mean, for me, business is the impact, right? And I realized that at some point.
Yeah.
So because I think it's such a great point, I want to back it up, is that school doesn't need to be today.
Yeah.
Experience it. And then if you want to graduate more into that realm, it's like, let's say you want to be a doctor, maybe go work at the doctor's office for a little while, vet's office, you know, like law office. And then you might find out that, like, you know how many doctors end up quitting? Yeah. It's like 70%.
Or you see how miserable they are.
Yeah.
And you're like,
dentists are the number one people that commit suicide. So you know, it's like, so might as well go try it out first, to your point.
Yeah. And going to community college was really helpful because I was surrounded by people like of all ages. Yeah. And it exposed me to like, oh, I really can like come back. It's not surrounded by like a bunch of 20, 21-year-olds. Like it's a big room full of like misfits that are like just trying to do better for themselves. And like, I could go back whenever I want it if I needed it, you know?
Community college is an excellent environment for that reason, because it's like, I never experienced the party culture of university, right? I just got the work part.
I'm so glad that I didn't get caught up in it.
And that's why I think community college is a good step, because that's all the people that are working, right? University is like, there's a half there that are just getting paid to be there, you know, or their parents are paying for them to be there. They get to have all the fun they want, you know? It's like, I think it's a better environment to start to like buckle down.
And it's like a little bit demoralizing. I remember, so before I went to a university for one semester. Okay. And I really like felt like shit being around people who could like go out and party, because I needed to go work so I could like eat. I couldn't even afford to party. Like I couldn't afford one drink or anything. No. So like it just is demoralizing to be like around it, unfortunately.
Plus they have all the time in the world.
All the time. And like, yeah, it's like sad. It's just like not a happy place to be.
So my undergrad was biochemistry, and it's a long story, which I'm sure I've told on this podcast or will, why I chose that track. But it was mostly I wanted to be helpful in the world, and I wanted to have a skill. And so I was looking at medicine or veterinary. And I remember I went in like, this is year 2, and I'm working full time because I have to. My dad had just gotten out of prison. I was supporting both of us, you know, it's like, and I'm going to school full time in a biochemistry track. This is a lot of work, right? And I go in and see the counselor to talk about med school, and she's like, you're not making enough sacrifices. You know, you need extracurriculars, you need all this stuff. And it's like, not making enough sacrifices, you know, it's like, and that's, you know, that's frustrating to that point, you know, it's like, but like, it gave me everything I needed to know within school. You know, it gave me the education, it gave me the work ethic, you know, it's like business, it perfectly prepared me for business because those amount of hours and stress parlayed into business at some point.
Yeah. And sometimes it makes me a little bit like, I have to remember that like the underdog work ethic is not like what you should expect out of everyone, or you can't, because like you'll just get disappointed.
Yeah.
Because when people will like complain about work and stuff, I'm like, but you're only working 40 hours a week. What do you
I totally.
I'm like,
it feels like part-time.
You have all of the time in the world, and like this is all you have to worry about. And it's really hard for me to like, but I do have to remind myself, like, not everyone is built like that, and they didn't have to do that. So like, just have a little bit more compassion, Zoe, but it's like, it's kind of hard.
Or I can't get to the gym. I work 40 hours a week. It's like, that's what I want. Our underdogs are important to understand. It's like, this actually is good thing that you have to work 2 jobs. It's a good thing that you have to work 2 jobs and find out where your, you know, like your fitness is going to come in, because then you're perfectly prepared for business. Because I don't care what anybody tells you on the internet, and just vouch for me here. Is it 20 hours a week in all vacations? No. They're lying to them out there. That's a big part of what this show is, because you see the content I see. Hey, the guy sitting in the Ferrari that he probably rented saying, buy my course, it's $100 and you'll never have to work again.
The course, actually this like Scottsdale, but there's a lot of course people here. I'm like,
yeah.
I try to like make business friends, and I'm like, oh wait, you're a course person. And like, I respect the grind, but then I'm like, I've been recently kind of been chased down by some of these course people who like want to use like my face in their course. Yeah. And I'll ask them like, well, what are like the success stories from your course? Like, who do you talk to? And they've never been able to give me like a...
No, they're the product. And I'm all right if somebody has an amazing course that's doing something, but I find 9 times out of 10, it's like, you're the product. They've never opened a business. They're going to teach you how to open your business. Yeah. You know, it's like I've been doing pro bono consulting the past... Oh man, for a long time, but like officially like the last 4 years. And like, it was funny when I first started doing it a long time ago, it was like people like me, they just didn't know any better. They needed a place to get more education. You know, it's like, even with your debt, I could tell you how to take care of your debt right now. That would have been the right way.
Right.
But we'd have to have
I could tell me too.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah.
At the time you don't know. Right. And that's the business stuff too. So that was the first kind of like grayness for people, you know, and then like now, it's 9 times out of 10, when I'm looking at a failing business, it's because they've hired a consultant that doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah. So the consultants, the coaches are now destroying the businesses.
Oh, I've seen it. That's actually my business now is really like cleaning up after messes, and like it's pretty sad to see like bad things happen in people's businesses when they trust someone that like said they know what they're doing.
That's what it is. It's the accountants, it's the marketers, they're all robbing you. And that's why my stance on all this, I got a lot of hate because I was talking about Alex Hormozy. Do you know who that is? So he had a video I watched on leverage, and he was talking about how to use your leverage to have success. But the problem is people like you and I, when we start, what's the leverage? Like, you have to think of a board laying flat on the ground, because leverage eventually becomes money, people, that sort of stuff. So if you're levering off nothing, it's nothing, right? Yeah. And so you have to learn this stuff. Even in my MBA program, they don't teach me how to be the world's best marketer. They teach me enough to manage it. And that's what I want people doing in their small businesses. Learn the marketing so you can manage it. Yeah. Learn the accounting. You don't need to know everything, but know enough to manage it. And that's where you have to start when you're a bootstrapper anyways.
Yeah, or just like, I've been actually trying to figure out if this is just like a me thing or like if everyone can do it, but I kind of like hope everyone can do it, but like just teach yourself how to do different things. Like try it. And sometimes it's confusing to me that like when people will come to me and they're like, well, I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, well, like
Did you
you
look?
try?
Yeah.
And because that's sometimes with my business, and again, I have to be like more compassionate, but this is where the underdogs really like have an advantage, is that like I refuse to just like not know how to do something. You know, you teach yourself how to do something, and there's so many resources now, like everything's on the internet. And my whole business, I never had like someone sit down and show me how to do it.
No.
I just figured it out. And like I do, I've recently also learned that I have like a neurodivergent brain, if you know what that means. But I am a problem solver, and I do think of things in a different way. So maybe I think that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But, still, I think that everyone has like that problem solving in them. And so like, if you're a problem solver, then you can figure anything out. And so sometimes it just like drives me crazy when people are like, well, I can't figure out how to do it. And I'm like, how? Like, no one showed me how to do it.
Everything is just motivation towards that thing.
Yeah.
And then once you like lift the veil on it, it's like, I rebelled against accounting like anybody else when I first started my first business. And I actually have a 3-hour like story that I tell now on how I rebelled and how I became the biggest accounting nerd out there. Right. You know, and I love accounting because it's the only way to get good data for your business. You know, it's like, I absolutely live for it. And I love kind of like laying that out for people too and solving that problem. But it's like, to your point, the more that you're willing to dive in, you should build your first website. You know, well, you should build your first marketing plan. You know, it's like, you should build all these things.
How to not get scammed is knowing the fundamentals.
Thank you.
So like, you don't need to know, you don't have to be good at everything, but like know the fundamentals so that when you hire help, you know you're not getting scammed. You have to protect yourself.
There's a great episode of my podcast. The guy was a landscaper, built his way up from one lawnmower to a $30 million business, sold it, opened a tech company. And the first thing he did, you know, like what anybody else would do, is he hired a bunch of people. He didn't know anything about technology, and they robbed him blind. So he ended up going back and learning it enough to manage it. And I want people to know things enough to manage it, right? If you get lucky and you happen to come across that one company that's like you or me, that you can rely on as a teammate, by all means, you know, but bootstrappers, you don't get that because you got to do it yourself. You don't have the money for us, you know? And so get me next to, okay, Zoe moves out, right? With her boyfriend, struggling financially. You get past the medical stuff.
Yeah, so then I had a couple really like hard living situations too, because that's the other thing. You kind of have to like live where you can, and just that's going to be like as safe as you can get it. So lots of struggle throughout that of like, bad living situations, unsafe things. When I ended up moving back to Chicago and thinking that like, how glamorous it is, like downtown Chicago. I'll manage a GNC there, and not good. Being on any store on the bottom floor of Chicago is very scary. My store got like, we had a security guard, and the security guard like got jumped, and like they beat the shit out of him, blood everywhere. Just people stealing shit all the time, and like, I ended up just feeling so like threatened by gang members, and like it was just not a good time. And I fought through it, but I probably should have like left way sooner than I did. But it's scary when you have a consistent paycheck, and like you're not like, you don't want to be there, but like you're not really sure what the next step is. But I was always doing things outside of work that were like building my personal brand. So like,
awesome.
Putting content out there for fitness stuff, and connecting with others like virtually. And so I feel like that kind of like has always been a theme of like networking. And then I got a offer. So I got through it. I ended up moving to, I almost quit because of the being threatened by the gang stuff was really scary, and I didn't feel safe. And so I told them like, if you don't put me at another store, I'm just quitting, and I will figure it out. So they put me at another store, and I ended up meeting, again, like just like by luck or chance, or being in the right place, the right time, and working hard, and doing a good job while I was doing it. I met the owners of Ghost, and energy drink supplement company.
Okay.
Ghost was under 2 years old, and I was going to be leaving GNC because I was finally had enough credit to like get a loan so that I could just focus on school.
Wow.
And so I was leaving GNC and I wanted to be a dietitian. And so when they heard that I was leaving, they asked me if I wanted to apply for a part-time customer support job with them. And I almost said no, because I felt like it was a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Because I was just managing. I had at this point managed 5 different GNCs.
Wow.
And so going from like managing GNCs to part-time customer support for a supplement company that's not even 2 years old, this like little cool supplement company at the time, but like they're nothing. I almost said no because I just felt like it was like a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But I also had these kind of like aspirations and goals, and I wanted maybe one day to own my own supplement company. And so I told myself, like, even if anything, it'll be good, like behind the scenes, and like, just so I can learn what it's like to own a supplement company or be like, do all the things. And so I took it, and it was that like by itself was probably the best thing I've ever done in my life, because it taught me how to run an e-commerce business with my eyes closed. I was fixing all of the problems for the company through the customer's eyes. And so I got obsessed with learning how to, your job essentially starts at just responding to emails, but to actually do the job, you need to know all of the tech and how it all cooperates. And then if you want to make a difference, you're going to figure out how to fix the issues so they don't happen again. Yeah. And you're going to learn how to like take the feedback from the customers that are upset, and you're going to tell the founders in a tactical way of how you think that they can change this in the company. Yeah. And so I learned how to operate all the tech. I learned how to work in Shopify. I learned how to cross-functionally collaborate with the operations, logistics, warehouses, 3PLs. I ended up also learning all kinds of marketing things, because people would a link would be broken in an email. And so I'd bring that up and say, how do you even fix this? Or like, what system did this come from? Or what's the strategy? And influencer marketing, and literally everything from customer support. Yeah. And I got really addicted to it, and I ended up I moved my way up from part-time to full-time. And I remember going into the office one day, and Dan would look and be like, "Aren't you supposed to be in class?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just didn't feel like going today." And then slowly but surely I stopped going to class, even though it's at the time would feel so dumb, because I worked so hard to get into that goddamn dietetics program at University of Illinois in Chicago. I worked so hard to get there, but I don't know. I just I was so fixated on learning all of this e-commerce stuff. Yeah. And so then I even got to so I just ended up working full time, and then I got promoted eventually to customer support manager. And then I would go we opened up our own warehouse. So I would fly to Vegas and help them tell them about how annoying it is when warehouses send the wrong product, and what can we do to make sure that every product is scanned and checked, so we never have to deal with issues. And
that's amazing.
Worked with the quality of any type of complaint. I created processes for lot code tracking and all of this stuff. And I taught everything to myself too, by just being curious and asking questions.
Unbelievable.
I even to the point where sometimes people would be like, "Can you stay in your lane?" And I used to be like, "Oh God, that maybe I should stay in my lane." But I just wanted to know how to do everything. And I saw that there was all of these different functions that I could learn about, and I would just ask questions, and I would be a little bit probably annoying and learn how to do it, and then be told to stay in my lane and be like, "Oh, sorry," but that taught me so much. And then random, we came out with a gaming product. One of my things was doing the Twitch community, helping out with the Twitch community.
Oh, cool.
So then I learned how to do the Twitch community. COVID happened. So then I would like do my normal job in whatever, 9 to 7 really, or 8 to 7. It was like a lot during COVID. And then I would manage the Twitch community. And then as like a joke, I would like play games with the Twitch community too and like stream with them.
Oh,
and then,
cool.
Yeah. So then I just started, I was like playing games with them anyway. So I was like, you know what, if I'm going to play games, then I'm going to stream too. Cause like I'll just press go live, you know, and I learned how to do it. So
you think you know somebody.
Yeah. So then I started streaming and making more money part-time streaming eventually.
Wow.
Than I was at my job that I loved.
Playing video games and streaming it.
Yeah, after work.
That's amazing.
Then I got an Instagram DM and it said, we think you'd be great for this TV show. Wow. And I was like, I thought it was like, there's no way this is real. You know, it's just an Instagram DM. And then I started looking up like who this person was, and it was like a casting, director. And they were like, we have this new TV show, and it'll be on this new streaming platform called Peacock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, this sounds like such a scam. Like there's like, and it's filmed in Australia, which it was 2021 at the time, and you couldn't get into Australia because of COVID. They didn't let anyone in.
Yeah.
But then I just was looking it up. I'm like, I think this is legit. So I did the interview process, and it took like 6 to 8 months and I kept forgetting that I was like in this interview process, because every once in a while I'd get a call and be like, oh, hey, so-and-so, the producers really like you. Are you like, you're ready for the next step? And I just kept doing these steps every couple months. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, if you want to go, we are sending everyone in like 5 weeks or something.
Crazy.
And I was like, oh shit, I have to tell Dan and Ryan, like at Ghost, like, and talk to them. Like, should I do this? I don't even know if this like streaming platform is legit. Like, what? It's not, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
And so I ended up just taking a leap of faith and doing it. And I told myself, like, if it doesn't work out, like I could always go, like they would, give me my job back at Ghost. And I also was like, well, I'm making good money playing video games. Like, I'll just do that if like whatever, who knows? I don't know. Yeah. So I went to Australia. I quit my job. I went to Australia.
Wow.
I filmed this little TV show. It's on Peacock. It's called Frogger. It's like a Wipeout type show.
Oh,
and
okay.
It didn't give me like anything besides like
Did you guys know we have the Frogger person here?
Episode 4, season 1, episode 4. I'm like the gamer girl because they recruited me because I was in gaming and fitness.
Oh, okay.
But like it does go to show, like anything you explore, it's crazy how it all like can connect. Like if I never put myself out there about gaming, I would have never had this cute little opportunity to be on Peacock and be on the show. And
we don't even know how you might use that.
Yeah. Well, and then I went home
in the future.
Yeah. And I was, there's so many things, like so many ways my life could have gone too, because, which is cool because before you take what you can get. Yeah. And now opportunity is so abundant. You get to choose, you know, like, which is crazy. And so like all of these, like there was a lot of people who are on the show who like, that's what they did. They would like do all of these little like, reality shows. And then, like one guy that I was on the show with, he ended up being in the Barbie movie.
Oh, and no way.
Huh. And it was kind of cool to see like, oh, this is how people like get into it. They do like all these and the crazy thing is once you get through your background check for these things, they're looking for people. Yeah. So you're like, once you have your background check, like they'll send you emails like, we want people for this show and this show. And you can go on like all these or apply for all these shows because they simply like need some people who have already gone through the long process of the background check, and they just need bodies. Like, wow. So I could have like leaned into that if I really wanted to, but I was gaming. I played video games full time, not making crazy money, but like I paid my bills playing video games.
What was your game?
Warzone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It was so fun. I wasn't good at it. It was more like entertaining with like, it was like a podcast with like games in the background, basically. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was so fun. So fun.
So what did you do when you went back?
So then I got recruited. So then again, going to show work hard and other opportunities will come.
Yeah.
The old accountant at Ghost worked at Chomps, the meat sticks. He ended up going there, and they were looking for a customer experience manager, which I was at that point not really wanting to get back into e-commerce because I know I loved it so much, but it was stressful because like I'm fixing all these issues and at
mad
the time,
customers and
and so it is like a lot, and then you put a lot on your shoulders because you're the like fixer, you know. So it is a really like, even though you learn everything, it's a hard job. And so I was like I'm no so the guy from he was trying to recruit me or to get me to come work at Chomps, and I kept saying no because, again, I'm like, I don't want to sell meat sticks. Like Chomps wasn't as big as it is today, but like I just was like, that doesn't seem glamorous to me. Like selling meat sticks, I'm not really trying to be the meat stick girl. Like, and so I said no like 2 or 3 times, and he kept messaging me being like, you should at least take the interview. Just take the interview because like, it is a great company, and you know, I did miss like the fulfilling parts of it, the teamwork and like the
problem
solving, all of that. Because gaming and playing on Twitch, like really, there's only like 2 things: you can get better at the game, or you can grow your audience. But like, that's kind of it. You know, it's not as fulfilling as you'd think, but it was fun. You know?
I have so many questions about that, but I don't think it'll help underdogs. So
we could connect on it later. But,
all right.
But it is like, just
I don't want them all out there playing video games.
No, and it's not as fulfilling. It's a good like side income. That's another thing. Like, if I could just play video games and like you could stream on your phone. And like build an audience on your phone and make money. Like, I could have been doing that instead of donating plasma.
People should always be throwing their hat in the ring on things. You know, it's like
so
every time
ways.
you make a post on social media, it's throwing your hat in the ring. You know, it's like you get to for free throw a dart at the dartboard every day.
Yeah, and people are so worried about like, oh, what if the people from high school see my post and make fun of me? I used to worry about that too, but like
we all do.
Yeah, and now I never think about it, but it used to be like every time before I post something, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cringy, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
those are usually the ones that help people the most. You know, the one that you don't want to put out in the world. Like when I start talking about welfare and my childhood, that's not easy for me. These are things I used to never talk about 5 years ago, but they are the ones that get the most like people in my DMs saying, hey, thank you for this, or I came from this, or like, thank you so much for like the impact this had on me, you know? And so it's the stuff that you don't want to do that actually has the most impact.
And and you never know what kind of opportunities that like some silly idea you have in your head, and if you act on it, it's going to give you.
I mean, like everything in life, if you'll follow up, like I'm a really big fan of documentaries. 9 times out of 10, I'm reaching out to the person from the documentary, and I've made the best connections and pen pals that way. Cool. You know, it's like, and people that I admire as heroes are now like people that check in on me. You know, it's like
because they're just people.
You never know. You know, it's like that's why you totally have to do it. And like one of my favorite speeches is Steve Jobs' speech. And I think it was to Yale or Harvard. You can look it up. But it's like connecting the dots. And, you know, and Steve Jobs talks about all these random occurrences in your life. And that's what I'm putting together with your story is like all these random things. And then they don't make any sense, right? They're all jumbled. You know, it's like documentaries and, you know, game shows and playing video games and customer service. It's like hamburger making.
Doesn't make sense.
No, doesn't make sense looking forward. But when you get to where you're going, you look backwards and it's all perfect. It's in perfect alignment to it.
Yeah. And even recently, I know I keep like fast forwarding, going back, whatever, but like I just was at a e-commerce conference and I got a DM and they were like, I can't believe I missed you. This is, I shouldn't say his name, but it was someone I would game with sometimes. Okay. And he's like, I was at that conference too. This is crazy that we're both in commerce now. And and then we connected and we realized we have like all of these like we could connect the dots with each other and like help each other. And like, we're so passionate about it because when you're in this like Twitch community, and that is something that like, if someone's ever feeling lonely, go on Twitch and find just just like put Twitch on in the background and find someone that you vibe with and interact with them in the chat. Like someone who's like has less than 100 viewers, and they'll talk to you and you can go and be their friend every single day.
I hear the same thing about World of Warcraft too.
Yes. Yeah. The gaming community is like, I think the gaming community saves lives. Like it's a lot of people who are introverts who feel lonely, and like we're not really alone. We're not supposed to be alone as humans, even if it's like what you feel like you want.
No.
It's a very like, you don't have to be alone even if you want to stay inside, you know? And so like I made the best like friendships in the Twitch community because I was like hanging out with these people, either playing games with them or talking to them on my chat. Like the same people would come and say hi, and like I knew all about them, and like you just, this a beautiful community. And it's crazy because now like connecting the dots like years later of people I used to game with, and like I also used that knowledge of knowing what it's like to be a gamer to put it towards gaming influencing projects in Chomps multiple times, and like also knowing how to like lean into your gaming communities for influencing projects, because those communities are so loyal. Like you can go to a gamer who has less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, and then they have like 70 people in their chat like all the time. It's only 70 people. Those 70 people are so loyal.
I mean, they're starting to look at more into that, like as opposed to the person that has 6 million. It's like, and the other thing is, folks, it's like if you do get to any sort of level, be nice. It's like a story of Chris Rock that I read not too long ago. He was, picked on mercilessly. He was bullied really bad as a kid. They used to turn him upside down and steal his change and stuff. And randomly, he's on the set of like one of his major movies, and one of his bullies is working on the set. And he's like talking about this later. He's like, dude, if you would have just been decent to me, you would have been in the trailer with me watching The Godfather. Instead, you're sitting outside manning your post. It's like, and like, I'm not saying it because there's a reward system to it, but it's like treat people with kindness. It's like, and ultimately in some position like that, it's like, look, he could have been in the trailer, it's like, or those communities, like be nice to those communities, it's like, they're the going to be ones to support your business, your life when you're down, those sort of things.
Yeah. And sometimes like, so today, like I have my own podcast too, and I have my own business, and I do these things, and a lot of my like gaming community will support me by just like watching my stuff, even though it has like nothing to do with them, but they just are like supporters of me because we just like hung out every day. Like it's such a good community. But then I ended up accepting the job at Chomps, getting back into e-commerce, and randomly getting this award for Customer Experience Operator of the Year.
Awesome. What does that award look like?
It's a little like can. Like it was like a subscription company, tech company that gave it. And the person, I didn't know that there was like there's like the course business influencers, but then there's also the business influencers who are like operators in business who are posting on LinkedIn and X and posting like really tactical things. Like if you work brand side, there's like those like real business influencers out there. I didn't know any of this at the time, but those were the people who were presenting the awards. And so this like business influencer, Ron Shaw, he presented me my award, and I didn't know who he was. And after the award, he asked me if I would consult. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know what the word consult meant. I was like, I don't consult, but like, I'll get on a call with you and like, see how I can help. And he's like, well, what are your rates? And I'm like, you don't have to pay me. Just don't let's just talk. Like, let's see how I can. And that was one of the things that helped me get rid of my imposter syndrome. I got on this call, and this like business influencer was asking me questions, and I was looking into his business, and I knew how to fix every single thing, every problem he had. And I was like, holy shit, I do know what I'm talking about. And then I sat with him for an hour. I didn't charge him because I honestly, if he made me like give him a rate, I probably would have told him like $20. Yeah. Like I like actually thought that's like what I was worth, like $20 an hour.
Crazy, isn't it?
And so I just sat with him for free, and we went through all of this. And then afterwards he tweeted, just sat with Zoe Khan for an hour. And I want to tear down my business and redo it.
Wow.
And that tweet got so much traction, and I wasn't on Twitter. My Twitter DMs got like flooded, and people like, can you meet with me? Can you meet with me?
That's incredible.
Yeah. And even thinking back to it, like if that happened to me today, I'd be like, holy shit, yay, all these leads and stuff. I was like terrified. I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I could help all these people.
Yeah.
But I just helped as many people as I could that I had time for free, until people started sending me money. And people would send me like $200 for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you must have put an extra zero. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And, but then, so like, then I was just getting so much, I was still working full time too. So,
yeah.
And then I started consulting, and were like actually consulting, and, you know, I would charge people if I like felt like I didn't have time, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so I just slowly started like charging people, and, then people would say, okay, this is great. You're telling me how to do it, but can you do it for me? And I was like, no, I'm selling meat sticks. I'm too busy.
I am playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so then I said no to like the implementation part of like actually doing for a while.
Yeah.
And then it just kept like, people kept asking. And then the other thing was, I didn't know anyone. I was looking, but like, I didn't know anyone in the space that like did what I do the way I do it, because again, I taught myself how to do it. And
sure.
like, I'm just like a psychopath, and I like things done the right way. And so I didn't have anyone to like send these people to.
Yeah.
So then it kind of made me sad that like I was just turning these people away and being like, sorry, I can't help you, and I don't have anyone to send you to.
You and I are so similar.
So then I decided that I would hire someone that I used to work with, and that I trusted, and they did a good job. And I would teach them like any like missing gaps from like when I used to work with her till now, and everything I learned. And so I hired her, and I gave, you know, she would work on like the implementation while I was working at Chomps, and then I would still consult in the morning and at night, and on weekends, and I would do implementation on the weekends. And I just grinded and did that for like 2 years of working full time and doing this agency. Like, and then that's when it turned into an agency, is when I like hired help.
Yeah.
I did it part-time, literally actually just till January. It was like,
wow.
Technically last year, like my full-time job was like a client of the agency on paper, but I was like full-time, just like one client. And then the agency was kind of like operating on its own. And I just decided to like really go agency full-time just in January.
And that's inevitable?
That's inevitable. So now I have an inevitable agency, and we have like over 100 employees now, because I've got overseas. I ended up opening up a BPO staffing agency because that was also a need that I didn't see anyone do really well, and I wanted like it done well.
Wow.
And I was sick of like making bad recommendations to people that didn't work out. Yeah. Because I thought they were good agencies, and then they didn't. So I just like get fed up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to do it all myself, you know?
That's so folks, I don't always know every piece of everybody's story, and like, it's so like similar. It's like, you know, like every part of it, you know, it's like I had the same imposter syndrome. And then the next thing I know, I'm in $1 billion company fixing something that the biggest CPAs, and then accounting's not even my total thing. Yeah. And I'm fixing this stuff. And then it's like, you start to believe a little bit more. And then you like look into like a lot of business, and you're like, nobody's got good accounting. Mm-hmm. Nobody's got good marketing, you know, and like you're trying to find somebody, hey, who can I connect you to? I'm known as this rainmaker. If I can find people that are actually decent, I will refer you for free, but I will make people's full businesses that way these days. You know, it's like, but then when you can't find anybody, you know, it's like, and that's what you did. You couldn't find anybody. Yeah. So you became the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and it just, and the other thing is like, it comes from giving as much as you can before you take too.
I agree 1,000%.
It really like, I think that because I gave so much, and I still give, like I'll still give time when I have clients who are struggling, like, because business is hard. Yeah. When I have clients who are struggling and they can't like, they want our help, but they can't afford the invoices, like I will trade my time to help them as much as I can, as long as I know I'm not being taken advantage of, because I just know that if they succeed, we will succeed. You know, we'll all succeed together, and no one has to struggle. And if someone's struggling and you can help them, then help them, you know?
I agree 100%. And then like to the point of this, kind of the soul of this show, it's like the more we help people that are kind-hearted and good people and they can find their success, they help other people. Your story aligns so much with mine. I knew like certain components. I knew we both gave plasma for a meal, you know, and like I knew some of the other stuff. I didn't know how well. I didn't know how similar a path. I didn't know how similar messaging. I wanted to get to where we were going to talk about that customer service journey for people, and we'll just do another episode.
We'll have to do another episode
because I think like I let the story unfold here on Underdogs, you know, and it's like it's anything that's good for you folks. And then today, what I felt was really good is Zoe's story. You know, it's like, and we'll have to come back because as you heard, her experience is really this customer service journey. So I want you to get that as small business people. But her story today was like, it was worth the hour. And thank you for sticking with us a little longer than usual.
Yeah.
Zoe, like, I'm going to abruptly cut this off because I know you have to do more. But like, thank you so much for sharing this story. I want you to tell the people where you can be found before we wrap up.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to tell my story. So, and there's so much to it. It's hard to like really get to the point kind of thing. But the journey's worth it. It is worth it. So you can find me on social media, basically everywhere. Zoe Khan, ZoeKahn. And so if someone has made it to the end of this video, so maybe you put a little clip in the beginning. Stick to the end of the video for a surprise.
There you go.
I'll give away a couple free mentoring sessions.
Amazing.
To give to the underdogs. If anything resonated with you guys and you feel like you want a free 30 minutes, hour, I'd like to give that back. So
she's amazing at what she does. I think it starts from the base level. You see the problem at the customer. I'm big on experience in business too, and that's what you're kind of talking.
Yeah.
You're online. I've always been brick and mortar. You know, it's like, but it's the same piece, right? And it's like if it's not fixed here, it can't be fixed there. Incredible story. I can't believe how much it bolsters every single message I have. I don't know how many we hit across. If you watch the show consistently, you saw that today. And we will have to circle around again and get to customer experience.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, too many messages today. Let me know in the comments what you picked up, what you'd like to see from Zoe next time. We'll beg her to come back. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Underdogs. See you next week. Hello, and all the proceeds from the monetization of this podcast will go to charitable causes. It's for the person that wants it.